Hello builders and welcome to another Let's Build. In this one we are doing the last animal in the European village, the wild boars. But there is something more special to them than that. And what's that you ask? Well, they are our 100th animal we've added to this zoo. Wow, I can't believe it, we've made it that far. 100 animals already. And there's only about 80 to 90 more to go in the zoo. It's been a long 5 months working on this project and we're going to continue it as long as my computer holds up. And I want to give a special thanks to everyone here who has subscribed, or everyone who's just given me a little follow or subscription over on Twitch. You guys make this all worthwhile, coming in and talking to me and keeping me company while I'm building this giant zoo. The next project that we'll be working on, and we will have videos soon coming on the channel, will be for the expansion to the European area, our little barnyard zone. It'll be featuring the sheep, the chickens, the cows, all the new animals from the most recent DLC. But enough of the channel updates and the thank yous. As much as I want to continue to thank you all over and over again, let's get on with the building now, shall we? So, if you want to see how I built this round building, check out my links video, which was just uploaded a few days ago. I will leave a link in the description down below. But this building just features a double viewing area for the lynxes and the boars. As we're doing now, we're just copying over the glass walls to the one side, just so guests can have a nice view of the boars from there. And now we're just going to create a little barn for the boars to sleep in. Just to make sure it's all the same materials, I just copy one of the walls from the round building and then we use that as a base to create it. That way I get all the right colors in and the pieces. And right here, I'm just trying to create a little side door that's about boar size for them to come into. In the end, the door doesn't quite work out as I envisioned, as the pathing for the boars is a little bit wider than you would expect. Once I add the boars to the habitat, I had to redo the whole door, and in the end, I really should not have even bothered with it, as I still have that wide open gap to the side that allows the keepers to come and go as they please. But I decided just to leave it there as a cute little reminder that not everything works out the way you would need it to. However, this worked out quite well, as I had already planned out to put some stone around the inside of the building just to make it look more natural, and it worked out perfect to hide the floorboards that were clipping through the wall. When trying to figure out the layout for this interior barn, I decided I just want to hide the keeper gate from guests. In real zoos, you usually don't see the keeper gate, and we want to continue that trend over here. It helps create that immersion. Even though guests know there's a keeper gate, they don't need to see it. I do that for most of my exhibits, and you just hide the keeper gate around a little corner like we've done here. Now we're coming in, and we're just going to add in a few little stalls for the boars. I am copying a similar look that I've done over in the deer and the ibex habitat, but just showing them down a little bit for this more tighter space that we have. And I've said it before and I'll say it again, always make sure you do your interiors first, because once you put that roof on, getting the camera in and doing all these little fine details is going to be that much harder. Thankfully, I actually follow my own rule this time and we get the interior all finished. I always love using these Arctic ceiling pieces for the interiors whenever I can. They have pre-built beams and they just look so nice and save you on the piece count and the work. Especially if you're planning on just covering them up anyways from the outside, as I'm doing here, just to match the roof up with the rest of the round little building we made. Of course, I can't leave the roof like that. We gotta come in and add in a little bit of detail to the roof, just to give it that little bit of oomph and flair that we go for in the builds. It's also a good habit that when you are building your big old habitats, that you try and get the feeders and the toys down roughly in a spot that looks good, so that you know what to build around and what to include when you are doing your little construction work. You don't need to get them in the right spot in the first try, but just in a rough area. With the toys roughly mapped out, I'm going to come in and start sculpting the land a little now. I want to have a natural river running through here from the waterfall that we'll be building and having it flowing around the edge of the habitat. It also doubles as a nice little barrier for the pigs. I can never resist a good waterfall, can I now? I feel like 90% of my exhibits in this park have waterfalls in them, and I just love them. Just make everything look so beautiful, and it gives a nice ambiance and a good natural source of water for animals to drink from as well. Now I know the boars wouldn't mind walking across a little bit of water and getting their little hooves wet, but it's the keepers. The keepers are always complaining about having to get their feet wet, so I gotta build a bridge for those grumpy little keepers. I don't even know why I keep them hired. If anyone wants a job as a keeper, let me know, alright? But the prerequisite is that you need to get your feet wet in my habitat so that I can stop having to build bridges. And I always dislike having just simple plain old walls. I love to incorporate rocks and trees into the walls and barriers of the habitat, again to create that natural look that makes everything blend together with nature. And it's important to always try and decorate the outside of your exhibits as well as within. It helps create that nice look feel to your entire zoo, so guests are always able to look at something even between the habitats. Even if it's something as simple as just a bunch of mulch with a few little wild plants decorated inside of it. Speaking of which, we will get to decorating the plants later. I like doing most of the plant work all at the end of the habitat. So don't worry, it won't be a bland old pile of mulch throughout the whole video, I promise. Oh, it's that time now. It's that time to get really involved into that rock work for our habitats. You know I love doing the rock work. I love it. I love it. I love it. Love it. More rocks equal more good, as I always say. Besides, the rocks serve a double purpose. They always help hide a few little errors within the terrain that you can't otherwise cover up, and then they just make it look good afterwards. So you know what? Love rocks. Enough said. Oh, it's a good time to note now that this building you see on screen, I had just copied and pasted it over from the lynx habitat. It occurred to me partway through recording this video that I didn't actually show the construction of that building, and it's because it didn't actually have it in this build. It's just a straight copy paste from the education point for the lynx habitat. The link for that video will be in the description down below. Now, if you watched any of my other videos, and this one included, you will know I love putting rocks around the back side of my habitats. It helps make everything look more natural, as I always say is always what I'm going for in this zoo. But the rock walls also serve a double purpose. While looking more natural, they also help serve to hide other exhibits from this one vantage point from the guests. So if guests are in Europe, they're not going to know that across the mountain is Asia or North America. Or if they're in South American section, they won't know that right across that mountain is the swamp area. It helps contain each section of the zoo from one another. Now the final touches of any rock building always comes in with the form of these little rocks here. They add perfect little boulder shapes to all the details we need in the park. Also, they're nice to put around riverbanks as well. Now it's time to come in and start turning the habitat green. We start with a little base coat of grass. Look at me, thinking like it's paint. Well, it kind of is paint anyways from the game perspective now, isn't it? But after the grass is in, we add in a little bit of dirt tracks. We're trying to tell a story with our habitats now, aren't we? We want to add some dirt in to make it look like that's the path the keepers or the boars are walking all day, so they're going to be trampling that grass now. But once these last few details are in, we can start adding in the trees and grass and really bring this exhibit to life. So let's begin that now, shall we? Now, I also love to hide my feeders behind a bunch of foliage and rocks and moss. Just really blend them into the surrounding environment, just to make it look like when the animals are there feeding, they are actually foraging in the nature for actual food. And right about here, when we add the boars to the habitat, I realized that I had messed up on these little doors and I had to widen them even wider. And then when widening them didn't work, I had to make them even taller, even though the boars should have been able to get underneath there. But you know what? The game engine isn't always ready to go with my crazy ideas. And we can only build with the tools that we are given now, can we? See, didn't I tell you we get around to finishing this little garden area? Now look at it, isn't this something beautiful? Now here's something I need to do more often in my exhibits. This is the first time I've done something like this and I absolutely love it. It's adding mushrooms to the side of the trees. I love the look of it and I need to go back and add it to a couple of my past exhibits. But hey, look at that, we're nearing the end of the video. I want to thank everyone for watching, and everyone who supported me on Twitch to get to this far where we have 100 species in the zoo. If you enjoyed this video, why don't you hit that like button, that subscribe button, and leave a comment and all that stuff that YouTubers like to ask people to do. I would appreciate it, and I would thank you for it. You know what? If you come join me over on Twitch, I can thank you personally there. Link to my Twitch down below. But hey, I'm going to say goodbye now and leave you builders with one final flyby of this habitat. Hope you enjoyed it. Happy building, everyone. Have a great day.